in compliance with federal standards. They would have to be whatever the federal standard is. We can't impose a noise, we can't impose our noise regulations on them. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the federal standards for noise of railroad trains is.
One day, and I don't remember who the individual was, but somebody from Holloway was in, and they were talking about when they're loading in Holloway. And he says, generally, they do keep the pressure up. So you do not have, when they move the cars, you don't have the banging. And he says, very seldom can you hear anything at all when they're loading. Not that it can't happen, but, they're also not going to be sitting there for days like has happened in the past. They talked about, was it last year, it sat there for 5 days. Somebody else was in, and he actually got so upset, he went over to the engine, and they had younger people in there, and they literally were playing with the horns at 1 in the morning, is what they were doing. And like I told him, I says, you just have to call. You have to call the police. No matter what time of day it is, you call the police. That's what you do.
At a minimum, the police can get a hold of the railroad and say, your guys are playing with your train by blowing the whistle when it's not supposed to be blowed. And if they're violating the horn statute, we do have some regulation on horns. But that's just it's hard to believe that that's a continuing problem of railroad employees blowing the horns when they're not supposed to.
I don't think so.
When they're just being
I
jerked.
found this out through the Chiefs Association because of a bad train accident at some crossing like in Tennessee. The legal people for the train companies have said to use the horn more. So I don't know if you've noticed that happened. They're blowing the horn a lot longer and a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when they're moving through.
Through town.
They're not sitting there.
idling.
Or they'll come and they'll stop right before the highway,
Mm-hmm.
and then right before they take off, they lay on the horn.
Here last month at the meeting, the noise problem was because of the engines sitting and idling by the houses, and that's what they're concerned about, not so much the horns, but the noise of the engines as they're sitting there unloading. But, I hope we can
We would
believe what they're
somehow,
saying.
Sherry, we would have to figure out what the federal standards were and then have some way to calculate that and measure it and complain that way.
But if they're not calling it in, like you said, there hasn't
we-
been a lot of calls.
Yep.
So, then what happens if there is now? Like if people call in about barking dogs all the time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's probably more, So what, how do we handle that situation if this happens and then,
Generally, we've got phone calls made to the railroad company, their dispatcher just asking to get these all.
okay,
And I had good luck talking to engineers and also making those phone calls.
okay.
Barking dogs, we have to meet the ordinance for how many minutes and intermittent, and I prosecuted a couple of those over the years, but it's been years since we had one that I can recall. But that's separate. That's just our local ordinance that we can enforce. Compare that to the
Right.
barking dog. We can do something about the barking dog easier than
Yeah,
we can
very
with the
well.
railroad.
If they do pass that we block the roads, will Westcon be responsible for the
Yes.
fence or
If you
gate or
remember
whatever?
when Kenny was here, they talked about that they would put up gates that they would put across and lock. It wouldn't just be,
Okay.
like wood things that put
And
up. It'd
then-
be an actual gate that would swing shut.
Like what kind of signage are people gonna know that the gate isn't there just for 10 minutes or so? Or, I know most of us are gonna know because we live here, but I would just be concerned somebody's sitting there waiting for the train to go by and it's gonna be 8 hours, and if they're waiting to get to the hospital, if they're visiting,
Oh.
or if we put road closed, obviously then someone will turn around, but I just didn't want someone to sit there thinking this is a short train and they didn't turn around.
I think that's part of what would need to be in the written to some of those things.
Just keep that in mind, like,
Because I know Kenny
what's gonna
talked
be
about
on
that,
that?
they actually would put, gates that would swing shut. And say, I don't know whether they say closed or whatever, but they would actually have gates that, it wouldn't be just trains sitting there.
right, yeah, I just didn't want someone thinking it was a guardrail that'll go up in a few
No,
minutes.
it'll be one that'll just swing.
If you drive on Fall Street and coming up to the railroad tracks, if you look to your left, there is actually a gate like a quarter mile down where there's the intersection of two railroad lines. And so you can actually see what type of gate it would be.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure there was some kind of signage, something on there that people that weren't from here didn't think, they're trying to get to the hospital and they're gonna wait and here the train is gonna sit there for an hour, so, anyway, that was my only concern. Besides the noise.
Bottom line is, this agreement is kind of with Westcon, it's not with the railroad.
Right, that's right.
And hopefully we have more, when I say control, or more input with Westcon than we do with the railroad to allow it to continue, because it is a it is a consensual type deal that we could change. Or you could decide to close Paul Street permanently, lock it off.
That's a possibility.
Anything else?
I'm
Okay,
I'm
okay.
for it.
All ready for the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item we would have is in regards to the TIF district resolution.
Motion that the city council, of the city of Appleton adopts resolution 2014-20, approving the terms of a $15,000 tax increment interfund loan in connection with proposed tax increment financing district number 3-1 within proposed development district number 3.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, any discussion?
Yeah, what is,
Okay.
I don't remember this.
I don't, that's what I
Al
was-
and Chad have knowledge of this. The other three council members do not. What is happening is there is a proposed truck wash with Christensen Farms to be built in the industrial park.
To be what?
To be built in the industrial park just south of Otter Tail Power. Project is somewhere between $2+ million. They would use 2 million gallons of water a year. The wastewater plant can handle it, the wells can handle it, not an issue. They could increase to 4 million a year. But that's the project that this is referring to. The resolution you pass is because there will be some expenses that are done up front before the district is finalized, and so that just allows them to be covered, is what it'll be. The public hearing, you have a notice of that, will be on June 11th at the council meeting.
Okay, so, and what is the public hearing for exactly?
Public hearing is establishment of the TIF district, tax
Okay.
increment financing. Basically what happens is that, let's say the taxes paid on it right now are $5,000 a year. With the building and everything that will happen there, let's say the taxes are gonna go to $105,000. For the next 9 years, that $100,000 will be used to pay the company as incentive in part of their building project. It'll also be for the water and sewer main extensions, is what it'll be. And then after that point, then it's divided between the county, the school district, and the city, the same as any other taxes. Is what it is. You'll be going through the same thing when Westcon starts their project. That'll be another TIF district.
Has the city done something like this before?
When I first came, there was actually 2 TIF districts in town.
Okay.
Long time ago. One was, one was a real small one. The district number 2 encompassed the industrial park and then a whole bunch of different parcels in town. One, like over here, the apartment building that was built by Strand, I think in 2000, or in, trying to think when we built the building for Channel 10. That was at the same time, because I know there's different parcels, but all of those have been closed out. So basically, we haven't had one.
Is
So
there a
you as a
limit? Oh, go
City
ahead.
employee, or the city clerk, you've been happy with how this works
Mhm.
from your side of things?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a limit on how many TIF districts you can have, or?
That I do not know.
And then the reason we have to have a public hearing is because the taxes aren't gonna go right to where they belong.
You have
They're-
to have a public hearing whenever you're establishing a TIF district.
Okay, but
anytime.
why?
That I don't know the answer. I think because you're gonna use that excess money.
It's not gonna go right into
It's
the
not
pot.
gonna go right into the general
Okay,
fund
that's
itself is what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Yep. It's an exciting project. We haven't had anything in a long time.
Roman, would they have to buy that water from us? Would
Yeah,
have-
they would.
Because
Yep.
I don't want them drilling their own well on
No.
that property. Okay.
No, they would be buying it from us. Like I
Then-
said, they've provided sample tests from other places they're at. The one thing that I did do, because we will have an SIU agreement with them, the same as we have with the Deldy Foods and with the prison, is when I sat down with People Service and we started to look at that, is I called Bolton and Mink, who has worked with the city in the past, because when you do these things, you want them to be done right. We could probably have found our way through it. It was a lot simpler just to call Bolton and Mink. And so they are in the process of setting up that agreement for industrial use.
That's a good idea. So, like, what kind of revenue do you see for the city with the water?
It's not as much as I thought. At 2 million gallons a year, I believe it would only be $1,000, $1,500 a month would be their utility bill.
Well, every dollar helps.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yep. So,
That's
More
between
than
the
what we had
sewer and the water?
sewer and water, yep.
Okay.
And as part of it, with the restrictions and the testing is they would put some type of holding tank in so that if it is stronger, they would just slowly let it into the system. They'd not dump it in.
So if they decide to increase it to 4 million, could we handle that?
As soon as they asked, I talked to Keith and I talked to People Service.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be an issue.
And well-wise, like we can
Yep.
handle, all that
Mhm.
just seems like a lot of water.
Seems like it, but I'm trying to remember how much we pump a year.
Yeah, what did
100
the
Hundred-
prison use?
100 and some million. is
So
we
what
pump.
if the prison would come back on top of that
It'll
then?
still work, they say. That's what they tell me, because that was one of the questions I
Okay,
asked.
okay, good.
So,
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Al.
I think the exciting thing, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what Chad, but we beat out a couple other towns, see, and that makes me feel pretty good for the people that we're working with this thing secretly, so to speak, or keeping it lined up. And we won one once, and that's pretty exciting.
Anything else? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right. That concludes our old business. Now we'll be on to our new business with the special use permit for Cassie Foster.
Motion to approve the special use permit application for Cassie Foster, 244 South Herring Street, for a chain link fence over 3 feet for daycare children, dated
Is-
March 17th, 2013.
24.
Is there a
sorry,
second?
My mistake.
I'll second it.
Second? Discussion?
You've got a copy of it. Cassie is here if you got any questions. As I told her, generally there isn't a lot of questions, but if there is, she does have a daycare, basically on a fence in the backyard.
What's the March 17th, 2013? What was that about?
That's a typo.
That's 14.
Oh,
That was the date of this, my
Oh.
mistake.
okay. Any questions? You gonna beg Cassie, or you just, no? Okay. All right. All right, I'll call the vote then if council, you don't have any questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item we'd have is regards to a raffle with Western Prairie Farm Collectors.
Motion to approve the raffle for the Western Prairie Farm Collector for September 21st, 2014, with the prize worth less than $1,500.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item we would have is with regards to the Civic Center, Federated telephone quote for the phone system.
Motion to accept the quote from Federated Telephone Company of Chicago, Minnesota for a telephone system for the Civic Center, including the city office, police department, library, and meeting rooms in the amount of $7,401.87.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Any discussion?
Yeah, I have somebody explain it.
We talked about this. The phone in the, what's called the judges' chambers, which is used by Human Services a lot, literally has quit working.
Okay.
They can, it doesn't work. They can't call out. The system has got to be 10, 15 years old that we have. So it's been here a long time. And it would, so basically it would be for the whole building.
Did
Any
you
other
just-
comments?
Just from Federated? Or did you
Questions?
check?
We just, actually, the RDC just went through this with phone systems, and they were really happy with Federated. And, you know, we've always had good luck with Federated, and they had gotten a couple other quotes, and Federated was lower.
Okay.
I think the biggest factor is that they're local.
Yeah.
The former system we had was from, I think, TDS, which was out of New London, which is still around, but trying to get something, the distance becomes a factor.
All right. Anything else? I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next item we would have is in regards to park cemeteries, mower replacement.
We should probably talk about this before you do the motion. That's why Mr. Swenson is here.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things we've talked about, is the newest mower we have was bought in 2010. Excuse me, yes. We have 5 mowers. 2 of them are Hustlers that we originally, I know, bought from Appleton Equipment. I don't know what the years are on them.
2005 and 2006.
Okay. And then the 2010, what we're basically discussing tonight is that we would sell 3 mowers that we currently have.
On the auction.
Yes, on an auction. And we've done very well on those. And then Sean's here to talk about that we would buy 2 for sure, possibly 3 mowers. That's the proposal.
purchase 2, maybe 3?
2, yes, maybe 2 for sure, maybe 3.
Okay.
Okay. Looking at possibility of what we would get for the 3 we would sell, we would probably look at around $6,000 we would get, based on what we sold for in the past. So I will let Sean talk about the 3 other mowers. Yes, use the mic. Thank you, Sean.
Okay, what Roman and I had talked about earlier today was replacing the one commercial that's out, is that at the cemetery? The tired one?
We use that in town.
Okay. That one's that's pretty old. What year is that one?
2011.
Okay. No, the old one.
The old one? 54-inch.
52,
The one that we bought, one last year.
right? But there's another old commercial, right?
There's only 2, 2011 and 2014.
That's the only 2 Toros you have?
And then we have a 2002.
That's
And
the,
that's just a regular mower. It's a light commercial mower.
okay, well, I'm a little confused anyway. But anyway, the thought is put a full-blown commercial in like the one you bought last year, and then replace the 2 Hustlers that are getting quite old with a entry-level commercial like the one you bought last time. like the 2011 model. And I don't know, does any of this make any sense? Is what I'm.
Does to me, because I've talked
Tr-
about it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The difference, commercial is heavier duty built. That's the difference between that
and,
and the other ones.
everything you get is considered commercial, but the lighter units, two lighter units that are less expensive, if you look at the quote, did you put up?
No,
the
I
quote?
did not.
Okay, they're about a third the price.
What we've
Right.
talked about is the 6,000 series, which is in essence the heavy duty commercial.
The same as what we got last year.
It's a 52 inch and the cost would be $86.89. Now, the other two are the lighter weight. One's a 54 inch, one's a 60 inch. And the price on those is $46.39 and $47.99.
Now, I don't, you guys, maybe not all of you know this, but basically what I do is sell you these mowers at my cost, and then we do the bid assist because it is a nonprofit. So I get paid back from Toro. And that's how that works. So nobody else out in the market can even come close to buying what you guys buy.
It's on the state contract is what it is. Yeah. Same as when we buy police cars.
So like the mower that we're talking about, I don't know if I've got it real handy here, but just to give you an idea what list prices are on these things. You'll be paying like $6,700. List price on it's $12,000.
Right.
So there's a big, I mean, you get a big cut on this.
Because of the state contract.
Yes.
Yep.
And what we're trying to do is, this is why we're talking this way, is we're trying to get you guys into mowers that are newer, and most things are under warranty. So if there's a lot less breakdown. You got a lot of young people run these things.
Define warranty, though.
Well, it's bumper to bumper other than consumables. Well, I call it bumper to bumper, but there ain't bumpers on a mower. But it doesn't cover tires, blades, belts, batteries, filters, or anything when you change oil or what any of those things. But let's say we got a bearing that goes out or a motor that drops. It's all covered.
For how long?
I know it's for sure 3 years on all this stuff.
On all of it, or just the
But
6,000?
The 6,000, I think, is 4 years.
Okay.
And I would have to do some digging on that, but I think that one might be 4 years. And we were hoping to eventually, if we keep doing this, to get it so that you don't have anything that's like an 02. You're not having 12 or even 10-year-old machines out there. Try to, possibly maybe even get into having everything under warranty all along. But I don't know what what the city can handle as far as the cost of it. But when we look at, we're looking at when you sell them and things like that, I mean, you get pretty good money for this stuff. And we never did figure out per year what it costs to run a mower.
No.
And I had heard, what did I hear? That it costs, what did it cost, $6,000 last year to maintain machines?
I have no idea.
I mean, I would
Okay.
guess at least half of that.
So who maintains the mowers?
The guys that run them.
The guys change the oil and everything, otherwise, most of the time they
And
go
I
to
would guess that at
Shawn's.
least half of that is maintenance.
Yeah.
Outside of oil changes. It's like when it comes to me and it's got to be fixed. Let's say a bearing goes out or a clutch goes bad or whatever. And now with a newer machine, those costs aren't there because that's all under warranty. You still have your maintenance cost. I'm just guessing, but 3,000 of that has got to be for oil changes and filters and grease and blades. But when you start figuring it's costing you $3,000 a year to fix machines, if you can try to keep into a newer, you're saving that. And I don't want to make it sound like you're getting
So
your
like
money
that,
back, but
did you say 2011? Was the right? Was that
We
the
got one last year.
2000, did we
yeah,
get,
and that was back when Bob was here.
Yep.
That was bought with the idea that it wasn't going to be a long-term machine because it was kind of light duty compared to what the other stuff that the city had bought in the past. And that's why we're looking at maybe getting it out of circulation. Let somebody else who's got more experience or can run an older machine, just let them run it out. Because it gets quite a few hours on compared to the average person using a mower.
Okay, so how many mowers do we have total?
we have 5 for the parks and the cemetery.
So you would only have one machine. If you did it the way we're talking right now, you'd only have one machine not under warranty.
And that would be the which one?
It's the O2, right?
That's,
Was the, well,
Right.
I'm not sure exactly how he wants to, or how these guys want to replace what, but the O2 is a commercial zero turn, right? Yes. And that's the one that me and Roman were talking about replacing
because
with a commercial. And then I think the 11 would run again, no problem, because and then get rid of the 2 hustlers because they're getting old.
and that's a 2005 and 6.
Unless you
The
have,
Hustlers, I'm not sure.
Unless you have
how
a different
old they are.
opinion
We've had
on
them
that.
for a long time.
The 2 hustlers was very costly last year. They were always in the shop. That was the 2005 and 2006.
Yeah.
And they were always in the shop.
yeah, that's where we're trying to get away from. Because like I said, if we're putting $6,000, or myself and the city combined is putting $6,000 into these machines, and half of that is maintenance or major repair, I think you're just throwing money away.
So I got them clear. If we do what you want, define total dollars spent.
If we do it, if we would
I
buy
had a
all
little different
3,
thought when I came into this,
it'd
and
be
Roman kinda-
$18,100 roughly.
Okay.
If we bought all 3. If we bought 2, and if we did that, we would do with the 6,000 series, and I would buy the 60-inch. You'd be at 13, just under 13.5.
So why would we go with a
13 what?
later commercial grade if the
Simply
heavier-
because of the cost at this point, if you're looking at 3 mowers.
I would have rather seen just, if we have to get, it'd be nice to just get one every year, every other year, than having
Because
to,
that's something you
if we
can
could
trade
s-
in, like when it's still under warranty, you can trade, right?
Uh,
Or not?